Good evening, everyone. Turtle Lags here, bringing you another Reverse 1999 video. I have a very special treat for you today because earlier this morning I had live streamed basically my team building recommendations for Limbo Side 1 as well as Limbo Side 2. After finishing my live stream, I realized that if I was to upload that, it would be basically an hour and a half of me talking. So instead, I've taken a bit of time to organize my thoughts and kind of neatly categorize all the characters based on the value that I see them providing for each side of Limbo. And just kind of walking through the way I organize my tier list as well as my criteria. Basically, as you know, Limbo, there is an afflatus that is advantageous, two afflatuses that are neutral, and one afflatus that is weak. But because realistically, whatever characters you use on side 1 cannot be used on side 2, so in terms of like optimization, I decided that for Limbo side 1, I would go with Earth and plant units, Earth and star units, as you see here, along with sprinkling in the intellects and the spirits, just because you can use them for either side. And then I went ahead and also did the same thing for side 2, which would be beast advantageous afflatus, but plant neutral. I think in this way you will be able to optimize the roster that you currently have. I know a lot of people tried to pull for Tooth Fairy these past 3 days, and you guys either got what you wanted or maybe you failed the 50-50 and got another 6-star character that can still provide incredible value to your account. So my goal for this video is just to make it very easy for you to kind of look through these two tier lists that I've compiled. Just go ahead and take a picture with your phone or take a screenshot if you want to just, look at this tier list, have it in your back pocket to build your team, and move on. But if you would like to stick around and hear my explanation as to why I basically ranked all the characters the way I did, I promise that I will make this worthwhile for you, and I will try to keep it as concise as possible. So without further ado, I'm going to start with Limbo Side 1. Limbo Side 1, the enemy is weak to Earth because they are beast enemies, and then Star is neutral. So for the no-brainers, like if you have these characters, definitely put them in your team. For the DPS slot, you want Eternity, just because she is an excellent self-sustaining DPS that if you are, regardless of whether you are an early account or a late account, just the self-sustain allows you to spend less incantations healing and more incantations cast just like doing damage to the enemy, which will help you clear faster. In terms of supports, we have two excellent supports. One is Pickles, one is Voyager. For Pickles is great because his ultimate allows you to increase the damage dealt by your party for 2 turns in most situations. And also, if you have him in Site 3, he's able to start off with 2 stacks of clarified topic. One viewer today during my live stream taught me that you can actually have Pickles cast his ultimate turn 2 by moving an incantation of his once and then casting 2 incantations, because when you move an incantation it generates 1 moxie, and then whenever you cast an incantation under clarified topic, you get an additional Moxie. So it's basically you move the incantation for 1 Moxie, and then you cast incantation number 1, then incantation number 2. And then each incantation generates an additional Moxie due to clarified topic, and then you have his ultimate turn 2. I know that's not part of the tier list thing, but that's a little trick that a viewer taught me today, and it allowed me to clear Limbo 6-1 in 4 turns. I was actually able to defeat the La Source enemy before she could generate 5 stacks of that special buff that allows her to gain immunity to all damage the following round. So, yeah, I just wanted to mention that. Voyager provides excellent utility, even though she is not a Flatus advantageous, but she just provides so much value with the damage mitigation plus firing back with the Interstellar Blessing, dealing Genesis damage, which is basically 100% of your damage bypasses the enemy defense, which is very useful against the main boss, who tends to have higher defense. So by bypassing that, you're actually dealing a lot more damage than you normally would. And then her ultimate, being able to reduce 2 Moxie from the enemy target, basically doing what Melania does, where you just basically remove their Moxie. If they had an ultimate queued up, then you basically get rid of that ultimate. It's pretty cool. But that's not all, because she also applies confusion at 2 and 3 star Starlight Sonata incantation. And then additionally, her insight, even having her at insight 1, every 3 actions that she performs, she is able to silence the entire enemy team for 1 turn, and it cannot be dispelled. Like, you're guaranteed to silence them, the entire enemy party. And when they are silenced, they cannot buff, they can't debuff, they can't heal, they cannot counter. And if you have her I3, they also cannot cast their ultimate. So because of all that insane value, Voyager, as you'll find out during the Limbos 5 and 6, being able to crowd control the enemy party is incredibly valuable in allowing you to keep your party alive, as well as spend less incantations healing up the damage you took, and more incantations dealing the damage you need to clear the stage. And then in terms of healers, Tooth Fairy, of course, is going to be, even though she is a Flatus neutral, she is, in my opinion, better than Balloon Party, just because in Balloon Party's case, there is 1 incantation that's pretty much dead weight. Like, you don't really do this. Generating party balloons it's just not going to be enough. Usually when you're running Balloon Party, you're either playing her healing card, her healing incantation, as well as her healing ultimate. And then you just basically reshuffle your incantations to get rid of these pinatas. In Tooth Fairy's case, Tooth Fairy, she is fantastic because all her incantations provide value. Her debuff incantation basically applies 1 stack of confusion, making you more likely to crit, which translates to increased damage. She heals in 2 different ways. She heals with an incantation, and correct me if I'm wrong, but she's the only healer we have as of version 1.2 who is able to heal without spending an additional incantation. The only other character that can actually do that would be what's her name, Sotheby, because Sotheby, her heal is a backloaded heal that heals for the next 2 rounds. But in Tooth Fairy's case, if if you have her at I3, she automatically starts the round with 5 baby tooth, which are these buffs that at 5 stacks become consumed to automatically heal your allies for 10% of their missing HP. So you'll run into situations where, as you cast incantations, you'll get more baby teeth, and you'll not only be shredding the entire enemy team's critical resist and critical defense, you'll also be passively healing. It's not a big heal, but it makes a big difference. It can be the difference between needing to cast one healing incantation versus just applying a buff or doing more damage. So and we haven't even talked about her ultimate yet. Her ultimate, when she scores a critical hit, she's able to purify any negative stats or crowd control debuffs applied to your enemy party. Just get rid of them from your allies. So if your allies are debuffed, cast her ultimate. If she crits, then she's able to cleanse your party, which is why it is my opinion. I did see a viewer comment on another content creator asking whether to go attack build or crit build. In my opinion, the only good resonate build for Tooth Fairy is the crit build, because the way I see it is that being able to cleanse more reliably is a million times more valuable than whatever extra 100, 200, 300 damage that she'll do with her attacks. Okay? Because remember, she's a healer, she's not a damage dealer. Alright, so that kind of covers it for the S tier units, the ones that if you have those units, build them. You probably are already doing so. Now moving on to the A tiers, this one's kind of cluttered. The reason why I kind of jam-packed them together was because I felt like they provided way more value than any of the characters below them. So it's okay. So in terms of DPS, Lilia, Charlie, A-Knight are the DPSs I recommend. The reason why I have them in A tier and not S tier is because they are not Afflatus advantaged. They are star units. They are not Earth units, so they won't get the extra 30% damage boost by being favorable Afflatuses. However, Lilia is basically a DPS that relies on critting. So, when she crits, she'll do extra damage with her single target attack, and when she crits with her ult, she leeches. Lilia actually, as a DPS, is one of the weaker DPSs just because she doesn't really apply utility. As a matter of fact, she requires a good support to allow herself to shine. However, in version 1.4, she will have an additional combat trick in the sense that her follow-up attacks will be generating Eureka for 37, who is a very powerful unit. For DPS, Lilia is a good choice. Charlie's also a good choice even if you have her at P0. Sorry, let me filter this based on what I'm talking about. So, Earth, Mineral, Spirit, Intellect. Okay. Yeah, so with Charlie,
I'm sorry.
She's mainly DPS. I don't think... Yeah, basically, she's a DPS that does even more damage if you meet certain criteria, such as having a buff on her or being below a certain amount of HP. You may have heard that Charlie P3 or higher is S tier according to Pridewin, or A tier according to Pridewin, and the reason is because when you have P3, your ability to proc the bonus ability, the bonus advantages, it's made a lot easier. So instead of being below 50% HP, she would only need to be below 80% HP in order to deal an additional 60% mental damage. And then her ultimate, she actually applies a little bit of utility. So she's like a DPS that also dispels the enemy's stat boosts. So that can be actually kind of handy. And because it's a mass attack, so you can dispel like the entire enemy party, which is pretty nice. A Knight is another DPS that basically his gimmick is meeting certain criteria to increase his moxie by 1, which allows you to spam his ultimates. So in terms of utility, I don't think... Oh, he does provide utility. This surprised me. So, you know, keep in mind, A Knight, he generates... Both of his incantations are able to generate moxie, and this allows him to cast his ultimates more frequently. And his ultimate is basically like, if he, you know, it's a mass attack, his ultimate, and if he knocks out any target, then all your allies gain a stat boost. I have Portrait too, so the damage bonus might be a little less. However, it's still a team-wide damage boost, basically what Pickles is doing. So that, I think, is really valuable. Miss New Babel I have here because she is Earth. So, you know, she'll deal an additional 30% damage. But one thing that a lot of people don't talk about is that the reason why generally you don't clear Limbo 6-1 or 6-2 is because the enemy kills your healer and then your party just dies over the course of the next 1 to 2 turns. So for this reason, I think Miss New Babel with the 30% Afflatus advantage, you know, damage boost, in addition to her utility in applying tanky shields to all allies, as well as, let me see here, you know, she can even generate Moxie for herself if she has a shield on herself, which allows her to spam her ultimates more, which is basically a combined taunt as well as counterattacks. This actually allows her to be the main target for all incoming damage, assuming that it's not a mass attack that the enemy's doing to you. And in addition, she's firing back with Genesis damage, which, as I mentioned before with Voyager, you're basically bypassing 100% of the enemy's defense. And so her counterattacks, I haven't tested this out yet, but it should be higher than what you would typically expect from her. So that is why I have Miss New Babel as a sub DPS that provides utility. Now, X is an interesting case that I didn't really think about much until I did one of the event tutorial quests, where his ultimate is a mass attack that removes 2 Moxie from each of the enemies. This can be extremely useful if you're in a bind, or if you want to just get ahead and crowd control the enemy. Just keep them from casting their ultimates. I think this is actually pretty insane, -2 to all enemy targets. So, and I think that's... Oh, and he even dispels buffs on the enemy if you have an incantation level 2 of that. And also dispels... I mean, these are very specific things that he's dispelling, but he's pretty much like a jack of all trades, just provides different levers that you can pull in order to interrupt what the enemy is trying to do. And actually, Click, I don't know anyone who uses him, but as I was looking at his kit, one thing I really thought was interesting was, let me see. Yeah, just pretty much all of his moves do different things. Like this move, level 2 and higher, removes 1 Moxie from the target. This one, when it's level 2, inflicts blind, which makes, let's see, damage bonus minus 30% when attacking one target. I think what this means is that whichever enemy is blinded will deal 30% less damage to you. And then his ultimate applies lens cap to all other allies. When the caster is attacked by reality damage taken reduction 50%. So his ultimate reduces the damage taken by 50% to your allies for the following round. So that can help with survivability. Soneto, I think most of you know what Soneto does just because we all get her. She's very good. All her incantations are pretty useful. Her debuff, level 2 and higher, it makes it so that they cannot cast attack incantations. That is very powerful because most of the time the enemy is attacking you. And then her buffs, of course, lasts for 2 rounds, increases your damage output, decreases your damage taken, and increases penetration rate of Soneto. Penetration rate plus 15% means that Soneto will bypass 15% of the enemy's defenses. So it can make Soneto do more damage. And her ultimate is a mass attack. Let me see here. If she has a buff on her, which she can do for herself, she's able to bypass 24% or bypass some of their enemy defense and deal more damage. So Soneto is a very good support, actually better than these two here, because in addition she also gets the mineral afflatus damage bonus. And then we have Necrologist. Necrologist, I like her because of her ultimate, as well as her gimmicky revival kit.
My apologies.
Basically, it's her ultimate. So her ultimate grants 1 stack of prayer and a damage dealt plus. Now, I have her P5, but I think even at P0, she grants a sizable amount of damage dealt bonus to all your allies by 1 turn. For 3 turns. Oh, wow. It doesn't apply to herself. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, so she increases the damage dealt by her other allies by X amount for 3 rounds. And in addition, she grants 1 stack of prayer to the other allies. So if her partners, whether it's the DPS or the healer, gets knocked out by a killing blow, instead of dying, they instead, they heal up and they're still alive. It cannot stack, but I believe someone can test this out with Necrologist. I think that if you can get her ultimate up quickly enough, you can reapply the prayer onto that unit. So that's why I like Necrologist. Regulus is a good sub DPS. I actually don't know why she's down there. I think she should be up here, because she's a DPS that also provides utility with her rock and roll ability, which allows her to make basically your party dodge any non-ultimate attacks. So so long as you play this as her last incantation, you won't dispel it. So and then I think she has the gimmick where if you have incantation level 2 or higher for this particular one, Challenge for the Eyes, she reduces 1 Moxie from the target. The targets, it's a mass attack. So, okay, and then one final unit I want to go over is Baby Blue. Okay, and Baby Blue basically, let me see here, reduces damage dealt and increases damage taken for all enemies for 2 rounds. That's pretty good. And then for her attack, she, for incantation level 2 or higher, shreds mental defense, which makes her an excellent partner for mental attackers such as Charlie or Regulus. Kind of looking down the list here. Yeah, those are the standouts for me. And then her ultimate also, let's see. If the enemy has a debuff, which is something that she does apply, right, for 2 rounds, she can enable it herself. She inflicts nightmare on all those targets. And those targets cannot act, but the effect dispels after taking any attack. So this is something that you will want to cast this ultimate as the final attack of the 3 attacks that you do. Okay, so this video is already getting a bit too long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip the explanation for all these here. Basically, in a nutshell, Blani, she is mainly just DPS. She doesn't offer any utility, and she deals more damage if she crits. And she does give herself, I think, like a 30% crit rate boost and 30% crit damage boost, if memory serves me right. Yeah, she's a 5-star unit, DPS. I don't think she's as good as Charlie, but I mean, she's a 5-star DPS, so... And then for Matilda, why did I put Matilda there? She's also another 5-star. She's the only 5-star unit that you can't get portraits for her at the present time. And she applies confusion. And that's about it. Yeah, so provides a little bit of utility, but it requires an incantation level 2 if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so I mean that's not very consistent. So yeah, and then okay, so for the tiers C and D, basically all these units here are 4-star units that provide some sort of utility. Yeah, if you own any of those units and you don't have enough to fill out your roster, you can kind of look at what each of these units provide and pick those. And then for this D tier here, I said soggy noodle, no utility, and or 2 to 3 stars. So I cannot in good conscience recommend any 2-star or 3-star units. Just because I don't think even if they provide utility, I don't think it'll make up for them getting like one-shotted by the boss. I know there's some gimmicks that you can do with, I forget if it was radio or door, that some content creators mentioned during the first week of global release, but I mean, let's be real here, no one really wants to do that. So anyways, so that's side 1. I'll go ahead and go over side 2. So side 2, okay, I was afraid it would show my login, but didn't. Alright, so now for side 2, the juicy stuff. So this one, I was actually, I found it kind of interesting that we have fewer beast units and plant units compared to the other side. So you'll notice there's fewer units here. Let's go ahead and talk about the S tier units first. So without a shadow of a doubt, the best DPS units are either going to be Melania or Centurion. They're both going to be very good. I know Melania, she provides utility in that she Moxie steals when she has Thief Master, or if you have a level 2 Silent Takedown or higher. And then her ultimate is basically enhances her ability to Moxie steal with either her silent takedown or her clockwork rats. So very good unit, just being able to steal Moxie with the silent takedown. Yeah, steals 1 Moxie. So that's very good. Centurion is also very good because for a DPS, she has a very high innate crit rate. As a matter of fact, if I show you here, she almost has 50% crit rate if you have her on the crit resonate 10 build. And then additionally, she's very flexible. So basically, she deals more damage the more Moxies she has. And so what a lot of people like to do is just quickly get her Moxie up by fusing incantations, spamming her incantations, as well as getting Outdoor Superstar to level 2 or higher, which allows her to gain an additional Moxie. And then basically you can do one of two things. You can either just spam her Victorious Generals, basically her single target kicks. As you can see here, deals additional damage for each Moxie she has. But her Hot Sauce Expert Insights also provide additional damage dealt for each Moxie she has. So she hits really hard. And some people will even hold her ultimate, just keep her ultimate in her back pocket and just spam her incantations. And then, but the ultimate, I actually realized that when you cast it, it applies weakness, where basically the enemy takes let me see, when the cast which improves the survivability of your characters because they'll deal 25% less damage. Yeah. And then Anon Lee and Beakhorn Bloom, even though they are plant afflatus, so they won't get the 30% damage boost, but they both provide such insane utility that basically if you have them, you should run them. And they both can actually fill the DPS roles. So in the off chance that you don't have Melania or Centurion, you could literally run Anon Lee and Beakhorn Bloom as basically both sub DPSs because they will just shut down the enemy with their seals and their dazes and also do insane damage with their ultimates. So Anon Lee, she's such an overpowered unit because her buff increases your party's damage dealt as well as reduces the damage they take by 15%. And then her attacks, if you get her Taoist Rune to level 3 incantation, which is very easy to do when you cast her ultimate, as well as you alternate between her 2 different modes, which are break time and exorcism time. She will level up a random incantation of hers, and her ultimate, after she casts her ultimate, which hits pretty hard, she enters Empower Incantation 1. Basically, for the next 2 rounds, when a round begins, a random incantation gains 1 star. And so what this means is that, every other turn, or for the next 2 turns, either her card could level up, or your DPS card could level up, or a healer card could level up. So one way or the other, it provides insane value. And then her time to work insights are very useful, even at Insight 1. Basically, for the odd number turns, she'll be in break time, which means that she will take 15% less damage if you have her Insight 3. Or 10% I'm sorry, 10% reduced damage. And then on the even numbered turns, she will switch to Exorcism time. When she makes the switch, her rightmost incantation will gain 1 star. And this I like a lot because her buff is very useful. It always helps to have a higher level buff. But if you get her Taoist Rune to level 3, you can daze the enemy, which basically makes them unable to take actions for that round. Yeah, so she'll switch to Exorcism time, where she'll basically level up her rightmost incantation as well as deal more damage and bypass more of the enemy's defenses with penetration. So Anon Lee is very good. And then Beacorn Bloom is very good. She was actually the one who helped me unlock Limbo and get to Limbo 4. Like I finished Limbo 4 before the first Limbo reset, which was on day 6 of global release. The reason why Beacorn Bloom is so good is because she does everything. She debuffs the enemy, which this debuff actually makes it so that you shred their reality defense and they take increased damage. And this lasts 2 rounds. Additionally, this here, it's just an excellent multi-target attack. And then her ultimate, this is what makes her insanely broken, which is that she inflicts seal for 3 rounds, which means that they can't cast their ultimate. And if they don't have their, let me see, if the target is immune to seal, then you remove 2 of their moxies instead. So one way or the other, you're getting incredible value from this ultimate. Yeah, and then her insights here, let me see here. I think this just helps with her damage. Very good unit. So so far I've gone over the best DPSs, the best supports. We don't have a 6-star beast support yet. Shamane, the 6-star beast support will come out in the next version 1.3. But until then, you're probably going to want to run one of these 2 if you have them. And then for healers, I would recommend these 2 healers, either Medicine Pocket or DK. So they're both beast units. Let's see, Medicine Pocket. Medicine Pocket is incredible because Medicine Pocket is able to increase the damage that the enemy takes, heal, as well as provide 1 stack of damage reduction. And the ultimate dazes the target, makes them unable to act for 1 turn, as well as increases Moxie on Medicine Pocket. That way we can get the ult up again faster to get the daze up again. And then in terms of insights, the insights are not that great, but basically the cool thing is that with Insight 1, actually the Insights 1 and 2 are very good. Or Insight 1 is very good. It makes it so that when Medicine Pocket casts the ultimate, it's a blanket heal. So actually I was wrong. So Medicine Pocket is the 3rd healer that has a way to heal without casting an incantation. Although you have to cast an ultimate, so I guess that doesn't count. And then we have DK. DK is she's a 5-star healer. I'm sorry, let me go ahead and do this. Where is DK? Okay. So DK basically heals, and heals more if you're in a pinch. Like heals extra if you're in a pinch. Damage, and then okay, that's why I liked her. She also purifies herself, removes the debuffs placed on her, and makes her immune to debuffs for 1 turn. So this is very good because for side 2, the pianist likes to petrify, and for squishier accounts, if the pianist petrifies your healer and your team needs to heal, that could end up being a wipe for your team. So being able to be immune to petrify makes it so that you don't have such catastrophes. You kind of mitigate that. You kind of control the RNG a little bit. So that's pretty nice. And then insights, let's see here. Yeah, there's some people who say that she heals and also deals damage. I haven't tested her out yet, but maybe I will, especially when her new skin comes out. But anyway, she's an excellent beast healer. Okay, so I've already gone over why A Knight is an excellent second choice. Let's talk about Druvis. So Druvis is a DPS that also crowd controls via her Petrify ability, which makes it so that the enemy cannot attack unless they are hit by a reality damage attack. So that's something you got to keep in mind. But Petrify is very powerful. She has 2 different ways to Petrify, either via her ultimate or an incantation level 2 or higher, Wind in the Woods. And then I think this is just a generic attack that bypasses some defense. And then her insights don't really help her too much besides increasing her damage, but the Petrify is what makes her really good. Satsuki petrifies as well, but the problem is that she needs, I think, level 2 incantation or higher to petrify. Her ultimate petrifies as well, but Druvis is just, I think, a little bit more consistent with her petrifies. And then Digger's actually really impressed me. He's a plant unit, but even though he doesn't have an advantageous afflatus, every incantation of his is very useful. So, he will debuff, which basically... Oh, okay. There's the minus sign. He basically shreds reality and mental defense, both of them, for all the enemies for 2 rounds, even as a level 1 incantation. So that's pretty good. That's actually kind of challenging Beacorn Bloom's debuff. And then his attack, for his attack, when it's a level long-lived piece, if it's a level 2 or higher, he inflicts 2 stacks of weakness, which makes it so that the enemy deals less damage to you, so it helps with survivability. And mind you, both weakness as well as the bubbleism, they are all debuffs, which factors into his ultimate, because you want to cast his ultimate when ideally they have status downs, because let me see here. Because he will inflict 1 round of nightmare, which means they cannot act, and if they are status down, if they are debuffed, they cannot act for 2 turns. That's actually pretty broken. That's insane. So he's an excellent 5-star support. Does it a lot. And then Sweetheart actually surprised me. I didn't think she was that good until I watched some content creator, like obscure content creator, showcase her. And so I looked into her kit. Her single target doesn't provide anything special, and she deals additional damage if they are status downed. but her ultimate, this is why I liked her. Her ultimate makes it so the target has reality and mental defense shred for 3 rounds. That's a really long time. In addition, they are dazed for 1 round, which means they cannot act. That is a very good ultimate. I would say that this kind of competes with Beacorn Bloom's ultimate. But she doesn't have the rest of the kit that Beacorn Bloom does. That's why she's not S tier. But she's actually pretty decent. And then X I've gone over, Click I've gone over. We got 2 more units that I'm going to go over before I end the video. We have Tenant next. So Tenant, where are you?
Good day, my lord.
Okay, so Tenant is meant to be a utility unit. Actually, she's not super impressive. Like, she's kind of like the Beast 2.0 version of, what's her name, Miss New Babel, in that she adds shields. But I think that's about it. Oh, okay, this is why I put her in A tier. So she, in addition to dealing damage, will load 2 rounds of Diamond Bullet. So Diamond Bullet after the caster attacks. Okay, so she's basically loading her gun, I guess, with 2 Diamond Bullets. So when Tenant attacks, after the caster attacks, this is Tenant, reality damage, reality defense minus 30% to the target for 2 rounds. Actually, I want to say the Diamond Bullet is a debuff. The wording is a little funny, but basically she shreds reality defense for 2 rounds per stack. So I might need to playtest this to fully understand. But yeah, defense shred, reality defense shred, as well as applying shields to your entire party for 1 round. I mean, this is not like... this is decent. It's decent. Okay, so I think... Oh, Sotheby. I almost forgot about her. So Sotheby, I have her in A tier. So, you know, Sotheby, actually, I could probably bring her up here if you have I3. Basically, she's A tier if she's I1 or I2, and then if you have her I3, then she becomes S tier. Although, in terms of healing, she's still not the best. Like, I actually prefer Balloon Party over her or DK over her, just because her heals are backloaded, and unless you are casting her healing on turn 1 just to apply the cure buff on all your allies, then there's going to be situations where you're going to want heals and the cures are gone. And I want to say, like, every 2 or 3 turns there will be that awkward moment where she's not healing your party. And this is less of an issue for developed accounts compared to new accounts. And if you need a tier list to clear Limbo 6-1 and 6-2, chances are you're probably struggling a little bit, and so you're probably taking more hits, probably healing more, probably need to heal more urgently, that sort of thing. So that pretty much wraps it up for the Limbo 6-1 and 6-2 team building guide. Once again, here is kind of a breakdown of all the tier lists. Yeah, so this is side 1, and this is side 2. So you can take a picture of it one more time if you want to keep it in your back pocket. So that's about it. This video was much longer than usual. I know there's some people who don't like long videos, and I really apologize. I just don't like giving half-ass explanations. So if you like this video and would like to see more content like this, be sure to like and subscribe. Do check me out on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv /turtlelags with a Z at the end. So anyways, thank you for watching, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.